Avengers! Infinity War! What's up guys, Tommy Bowyer here from Movie Rewind, and it has finally come. Avengers Infinity War, 10 years. 10 years us Marvel fanboys have been waiting for this film, and it is finally here. So I saw it on Friday with a group of friends, and we all left there gobsmacked. So there's a lot to talk about with this movie. So without further ado, let's get into it. So before I actually start talking about it and start picking about what I like about it, I'm just going to give some brief details of this film. So Avengers Infinity War is a 2018 action superhero movie. It was directed by Joe and Anthony Russo, who previously directed Captain America the Winter Soldier and Captain America Civil War. It was released by Marvel Studios, and it stars everyone in the MCU, but just to name some high profile characters: Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Captain America portrayed by Chris Evans, Scarlet Johansson as Black Widow, and Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And why have I included Tom Holland as Spider-Man? Because Spider-Man is my favourite character, so that's why. So a little more biased views from me. So there's just some brief details about the film. Now we are actually going to get into what I enjoyed about the film. So before I went to see Avengers Infinity War, I actually did think, yeah, we're going to have to get there about 10 minutes early because it was just busy. And I went with 3 friends. And when we got there about 45 minutes early, and there was a line already outside the door. So this just shows just how anticipated people were to see Avengers Infinity War. And trust me, from the moment everyone in, it was sold out. It was sold out a day before. And from the moment everyone was in there, I'd say about 90% of the audience stayed there until the credits had finished rolling. So this is just how much the film had such an impact on people. I have never had to wait outside 45 minutes early just to get a seat to see a film. So I've never seen such hype for this movie. So just before I went even in to see it, I was like, this is anticipated. If this goes wrong, there's going to be a lot of pissed off fans, but luckily it didn't. So now let's just talk about what I enjoyed about it and why I think it was one of the best films I have ever seen. So to start off, really Avengers Infinity War is like no other MCU or comic book movie I have ever seen, because the tone just feels so different. You really do feel that the weight in which Thanos provides, it is just such a brilliant, well-elemented movie. And of course Thanos is a really strong villain. Josh Brolin did a marvellous portraying Thanos, because it's so easy, and I know a lot of people say it, but the MCU has not had the strongest villain record. You know, some of those villains have been very weak. So Josh Brolin as Thanos, he could have just been a massive, powerful, big baddie, like they did with Steppenwolf in Justice League. But instead, they bring a lot of layers to his character, and you really do understand what he's going through. And you kind of start supporting him and kind of challenging whether the heroes are actually right. And that's what a great villain does. He makes you challenge, you know, if you're right or not. They did it in Black Panther, and they do it superb with Thanos here. So I have to thank Josh Brolin for his performance, because he just did a brilliant job as Thanos, and I cannot see anyone else portraying Thanos as good as he did. For the characters, all the characters in the film, they really do cut a good balance of giving each character a good amount of screen time. They each get their chance to show off their special skills. And as well, I think the worst thing I was thinking of is because I didn't really like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I thought it was just too much forced humour. But in Infinity War, they really do bring them down a lot. They bring them down, so they are still a comedy element. And to be honest, they made me laugh in this. And I think all the characters made me laugh at some point. But I do think that the Russo brothers really handled the Guardians well, because unlike Volume 2, they really were brought down. So while they were funny, you could also relate to them as well, and the comedy felt organic. It didn't feel forced. So I have to thank the Russo brothers for that, because it could have been so easy to just repeat the problem with Volume 2, which they had with the Guardians, but they didn't. So I thought that was quite well done. And of course, all the other characters get funny moments. You know, after Thor Ragnarok, Thor is now one of the funniest characters. They do a brilliant job with that, especially in one scene he interacts with the Guardians, and that is just such a funny scene. There is so many funny moments there. And of course, there's all the other characters. Iron Man, Spider-Man and Doctor Strange spend a lot of time with one another, and they have some really good comedy moments, you know, back and forth banter, which I thought was really good. So I have to say, they handle the comedy well, but it doesn't overshadow the story. It doesn't overshadow that this is Infinity War, this is a war, and we're fighting for the fate of the universe. And they never really overshadow that. While the comedy, which MCU films are known for, is there, they don't overshadow all of the intense moments, which is a really good job. Because if it was just load of comedy, then it wouldn't be as good as it was. So yeah, I think they found a good balance between intense fighting scenes, emotional scenes, and a good old pinch of comedy in there. So well done, guys. Well, as you've seen, the cast involved in this movie, yeah, you do expect the acting to be on point, and it was. And especially the performances, I think, from Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Hemsworth are really strong. All the others have good ones. Captain America's kind of sidelined a bit in this movie. He doesn't have a massive story arc to go through. Thor is really crucial for this story. You see him going to get a new weapon, which, watch out for that, because it is epic. It's a really, really good weapon. He kind of has a story arc there where he begins to grieve for the loss of his people. This is kind of a spoiler. All his people die, including Loki. And when they kill off Loki, who's been like the main villain for the majority of the MCU, when they kill off Loki in the first 5 minutes, you're kind of sitting there like, damn, people are going to die. And I think that's really good. It shows that the Russo brothers have balls, and it also shows what many people consider the problem with the MCU is that they can never kill characters off. And trust me, when you go and see an Avengers Infinity War, you'll find that they can kill characters off, and they will kill characters off, and they're not afraid to do it. And as for Robert Downey Jr., his portrayal of Tony Stark and Iron Man, this is probably one of the best performances I've ever seen him given thus far. It's just such a brilliant performance, and at one point I thought he was dying. One of my friends sitting next to me, literally when he was stabbed, said, "Oh my God." So that is just the weight of these performances. They're so brilliant, and because they're put in these intense situations, you're literally sitting on the edge of your seat like that, like, for fuck's sake, don't die, don't die, don't die. And if it can do that, that's what this movie is brilliant. It's just such an intense movie that you're literally just sitting there and you don't have a clue what's going to happen. Usually sometimes with movies you can see where it's going, but with this you just can't see where it's going, and you just don't have a clue. And that's just such a brilliant element. It's just a very surprising movie, and that's really good, and I really did enjoy that element. And of course, probably the final good point I have, because there are so many good points. If I was sitting here talking about good points, we'd be here for about 50 minutes. That would probably destroy my computer editing that. But probably the last good point is that the ending of this movie is superb. It is straight out of the comic books. Thanos literally goes like that. Can't click my fingers, that's sad. And Avengers start disappearing. Half the universe is wiped out. And you're literally sitting here like, there must be a beacon of hope. Because once you've seen Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron, there's always been that kind of beacon of hope there. But you can't see it in this movie. It literally devastates everything. And probably the saddest one for me was Spider-Man, because he's my favourite character. And yep, I didn't cry, but I did get emotional. But I think the majority of the audience were getting emotional because it looks like the end. The war has been won. Thanos has won the war. And it doesn't look like there's any end. So they did such a great job, because I have no idea where they're going to go. This looks like the end. Just have to wait another year to find out. So they left the movie on a cliffhanger, which was pretty awesome. However, like all movies, Avengers Infinity War does have some problems, but they're quite minor. I think the first problem is occasionally when you're sitting there, because of the massive cast and because the Guardians of the Galaxy are so different to the rest of the Avengers, there does appear to be some tone changes. Some of the tones just all of a sudden jump, so 1 minute very intense and the next you're laughing. So some tone changes there. I think it doesn't come across clunky, it's just sometimes it's like, oh, we're now here, oh, we're now there, oh, we're now here. And that does get like, oh my god, I don't know where we are. But it's very minor, and I think due to the size of the cast, I think the Russo brothers really do handle it well, because it could have been so easy to just include all of these characters and not give them any screen time whatsoever. But the Russo brothers do handle the cast well. I think, as I've already said, every cast member gets a chance to shine. So I do think they handled that quite well. And on a personal level, Hawkeye weren't in the film. So to pay tribute to this brilliant and most powerful member of the Avengers, we have prepared a short presentation. So in conclusion, Avengers Infinity War is an action-packed and intense thrill ride, which is really different to any other Marvel film I have ever seen. While the intense scenes are there, there are still those light-hearted comedy moments which we have all come to love from the Marvel films. The Russo brothers do a fantastic job, not only on an effects and direction level, but also being able to bounce the ginormous cast, and it leaves on a brilliant cliffhanger, which you can't really contemplate or speculate what's going to happen, which will lead brilliantly into Avengers 4. So, well done. 10 years. 10 years! And they pulled it off. So, well done. Just brilliant! So thanks for watching, guys. I really do hope you enjoyed my Avengers Infinity War movie review. Please remember to like, comment and subscribe in order to receive great and maybe even improved content in the future. And I will see you guys in another one. See ya!